Only 3 weeks away. It's important for the players to get a result and show good form and get themselves in the squad. Scotland are looking towards a World Cup, next season, and we start then. But Wembley this year has thrown up the underdogs, and Scotland are the underdogs today because of the run of sort of poor results that we've had. So maybe we can just turn the tables on and make it 41-all. You never know.
Terry, thanks and Ian for the time being. We'll talk again at half-time. But for now, let's join our commentary team this afternoon. Ron Atkinson, the manager of West Bromwich Albion, and Brian Moore.
Thank you, Elton. Well, the conditions are perfect here. There's a little bit of coolness in the air, which they'll all be pleased about. Scotland coming undefeated to this game. Having played 8, they won their first 3 of the season. They've drawn their last 5. But of course, if they can get a victory here, that's always the choicest of the whole season for them. Against an England side whose minds will be on a worthwhile performance in a victory today, but also such a valuable stepping stone to the really testing events to come in West Germany in the European Championships next month. It's not a full house by any means here at Wembley, but the roar will go up in a second or so as the teams come out of that tunnel. It's the 106th meeting between the old enemies, and a remarkably close record as the 2 goalkeepers, Jim Leighton and Peter Shilton, have a word with each other. England have won 41 of those encounters, Scotland 40, and 24 have been drawn. Interesting to see the 2 goalkeepers there. You really couldn't get 2 more experienced players than they. Peter Shilton at 38, winning his 96th cap today, and Jim Leighton just to be signed as they wish each other good luck. That's nice to see. Just having been signed by Manchester United, winning his 44th cap for Scotland today. Our guest of honour today is Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent, and soon the teams will be presented to her. And the Royal Corps of Signals in the direction of Captain D. Wall. And as you can see, unlike any other England-Scotland occasion here at Wembley, empty seats in the background. A couple of days ago, some 30,000 tickets were left unsold. Her Royal Highness,
and Scottish Football Association,
flanked by dignitaries from both the English and Scottish football associations. In a really eye-catching outfit of pink, which is where my experience of fashion begins and ends. And the national anthem. presented to Her Royal Highness, the Scottish team, with Roy Aitken, their captain. A man of great experience, 38 caps. And he's really seen Scotland through not too bad a season, really. Jim Leighton there, the goalkeeper, 29 years old. Of course, facing his new Manchester United teammate Brian Robson on the opposite side, Steve Nicol. His second successive week here at Wembley. Her Royal Highness appeared to say something to him, and it may have been something like better luck this week, because it looked as though Steve Nicol said, "I hope so." And McCoist is there. Fabulous record he's had this season, some 46 goals. Good to see him recover from an injury that he received against Colombia on Tuesday. Richard Gough, and a great centre-back, the moustache there. Willie Miller, and Alex McLeish, the two Aberdonians. Paul McStay. Pretty interesting to see that young man in midfield today. It's so much talent. Presenting his England team. And when we look at the team lineups in a moment, 6 changes in this side that drew 0-0 with Hungary recently in Budapest. Gary Stevens having a word with Her Royal Highness. Dave Watson. Everybody will be looking to today. It really was a disappointing performance by him in the Liverpool side against Wimbledon last week. Tony Adams is another one who needs to really turn on the style today. Trevor Stephen next to him, who's had a really good season for England. Neil Webb of Nottingham Forest and Peter Beardsley. And Gary Lineker with an amazing goal-scoring record, 24 goals, and this is only his 30th England cap. Referee Joel Quignon from France. In fact, was the Frenchman who has refereed a Scottish game before in the World Cup against Uruguay. You may remember he sent off a Uruguayan in the first minute of that game. But this is his first appearance at Wembley. A very gracious royal guest of honour. Take a check on the two teams, starting with England with Peter Shilton in goal, his 96th cap. The back four that really has caused Bobby Robson some concern. No Terry Butcher, of course. Mark Bright injured. Now Dave Watson and Tony Adams fill those central places. Gary Stevens and Kenny Sansom return to fullback. Neil Webb is restored to the midfield. It's got a good balance about it, particularly if there is a return to form from John Barnes. And then up front, well, Beardsley and Lineker, they're what you would call automatic choices. Scotland, meanwhile, Jim Leighton, the new Manchester United goalkeeper, in goal. A fairly settled back four, 146 caps no less between them, and they're going to present a formidable barrier for Lineker, Beardsley and co this afternoon. In midfield, Neil Simpson of Aberdeen comes in. Murdo McLeod passed a fitness test, so he plays. And then up front, both men have shrugged off injuries. Ali McCoist and the former Watford star Mo Johnston, who now plays in France with Nantes. Well, a question mark. Ron Atkinson, my co-commentator this afternoon. What's your feeling about John Barnes?
Yes, I think the one thing John Barnes has got to prove in his career is, can he do it in the really big games? I think he's obviously been the outstanding player in England this year, but I think there is a question mark about when he does it when the pressure's really on.
6 goals, you see, in 36 caps. You would expect a little more than that.
That's right. He's got all the qualities needed to unlock the top defences in the world, but at this moment in time, he hasn't done it consistently, Brian. I think a lot of people might be asking whether Germany this year is going to be his scene.
Right, let's look and see somebody on the Scottish side now. Well, no, let's first of all look at Brian Robson. It's the two captains are meeting with Roy Aitken coming up. They find a battle in the midfield, and these two gentlemen will be very heavily involved in that. You were saying to me before we came on the air, you fancied England to win this one.
Yes, I must admit, I think England have a side that, on paper anyway, looks more capable of going forward with a better balance. It's unusual to see a Scottish team without a wing wizard, isn't it? When you think of Henderson, when you think of Jimmy Johnson, Willie Johnson, even little Gordon Strachan, it looks more like a side built to contain the opposition than one to come at us.
I fancy they might be a very difficult side to beat this afternoon in Scotland, to be honest. I saw them play against Colombia on Tuesday, the French referee there, and it was, to be fair, a straightforward performance by the Scots against a very talented Colombian side who play here on Tuesday. But they don't give much away, the Scots, you know. I think they've conceded only 3 goals in their 8 games this season, and they've got a good, solid defensive setup. Well, let's see anyhow, as we prepare for the latest encounter between the Old Enemy in 1988. Scotland in their famous dark blue shirts. And thank goodness they've given up those dreadful shorts that had a band of blue around them. And they're back with a more traditional strip. Scotland get us underway. Attacking the goal to our left. And Richard Goff plays it forward. Good jump there by Tony Adams. Barnes to Beardsley. Back. Misunderstanding there between Barnes and Sansom, and it's Mo Johnston making the break for Scotland. Barnes, stay, Johnston, not from behind, he was there. McLeod there, and Watson getting a useful header in for England. Well, a really lively start here by Scotland, and Steve Nicol winning a corner for the Scots. Nicol will take it. Probably Scotland's best player actually on Tuesday against Colombia. McLeod. And it needed a good header away that time. Richard Goff in there, and that's an easy one for Shilton. What a sprightly start there by Scotland.
Well, they look as if they've come out with claymores and everything flying, don't they? I'm a bit surprised actually. I thought they would try and contain England, but they've come out with all the old passion there.
Sansom now for England. And England have a game against Colombia here on Tuesday night. They play in Switzerland next Saturday afternoon, and then it's on to the really testing games in the European Championship. In a group that's got Holland, Russia and the Republic of Ireland. Ron?
I think we've talked about Barnes has something to prove in big matches, Brian. I also think the Scottish player of the year, Paul McStay, probably has.
Goff. Holding off Beardsley. Well, Barnes, a little touch by him and a good one. Finds Sansom, but the challenge on Sansom was quick. The roars of the crowd there as Goff went in on the England fullback. Barnes again. McLeod trying to get it forward to Johnston. Challenged fiercely from behind by Watson, the referee having none of that. And no Johnston down, injured, and there's going to be a yellow card for Dave Watson. It did look a juddering challenge from behind, Ron.
Yes, I mean, I think that's one of Watson's, well, you call it a strength, the fact that he doesn't let forwards turn on him, but that's something, let's be fair, if we're going to play top European sides in the next few months or so, central defenders are going to have to be particularly careful about that, because as we've just seen, a continental referee will penalise people far more than they do in this country.
Well, we saw in the Winners' Cup final how they sent off a player with just one bad tackle early enough in the game. They are going to stand no nonsense, I'm quite sure about that in the European Championships.
I think it should also be said as well that the boy is probably He's got to convince Bobby Robson that he's going to be the England number 5, hasn't he? Look, here we go now.
Played out there by Murdo McLeod. It comes up to Mo Johnston, and there's the challenge from behind. Oh, Johnston's on his feet again. It's okay. Willie Miller. Sansom. Goff's header. Flag up from offside on the far side. There's Stevens. To Webb. Nicol. Robson says he's looking for cohesion and understanding, and above all that we look a team. Beardsley with a little touch for Robson, and now for Lineker, and on for Robson. The door was shut tight by a combination of Goff and Willie Miller. Simpson on the far side. Played there by the French referee. Tony Adams planting it forwards. Off with a header back. McStay, all a little feverish at the moment out there. And Webb just hobbling away from the latest incident. Watson. Stevens. McLeish. Stephen, Watson again. Stay. As soon as the ball reached him, then Robson was onto him, and Stay could do nothing controlled, and the ball was in touch for Gary Stevens' throw. Beardsley. Webb. Stevens, the space now for Robson, lining up the shot, deflected.
Brian, I'm sure Bobby Robson would like to see, particularly the way the Scottish team's structured, I'm sure he'd like to see both the English fullbacks getting into big attacking positions today. Both Sansom and Stevens have got to take the responsibility on and try and get forward and produce telling balls into the Scottish penalty area.
Lineker. Robson. Well, here is Gary Stevens with some space ahead of him. Beardsley also ahead of him. Lineker. Easily cut out by Nicol. Stay. Oh, Johnston up ahead of him. Behind by Watson for the corner. Certainly when the Scots come forward with pace and determination, at the moment they're ruffling the English defenders, particularly at the centre of this defence. And I don't think Watson knew an awful lot exactly where he was putting that ball. Fortunately for him it was wide. And Murdo McLeod now playing his football in Germany with Borussia Dortmund with this corner for the Scots. We've got Richard Goff up by the near post. And McLeish also, but Shilton still got his hand to it. Nicol turns it back over the top goal. Towards the 8th minute of the game, if you've just joined us, it's England 0, Scotland 0 here at Wembley. McLeod. Goff. McLeod. Aitken. And a shove in the back on Tony Adams by Ali McCoist. It's a free kick. McCoist, who was doubtful after being injured against Colombia on Tuesday, but any man who plays 8 days after a cartilage operation in a European Cup tie against Steaua Bucharest, which he did for Rangers this season, I think there was never any doubt that he'd be fit for this one. Beardsley. Stephen. Now Lineker on the chase. McLeish is back there for Scotland and nicely under control, knowing that Willie Miller would be available for the header, which he was. And here is Willie Miller. Robson gets it back. Terrific player. He's been 60 caps. He's only scored 1 goal, but he's had 15 seasons at the top with Aberdeen. Terrific servant. Stephen, Gary Stevens again, Nickel, Webb swiftly into the challenge, holding his right shin though now. England's throw, Brian Robson with it, now Gary Stevens, one that Aiken thought about but found that he couldn't reach. Good play by Goff, tricking John Barnes. But Barnes was back at him. But Goff goes on. Good combination there. McStay, the flag was up in any case. Good advantage played by the referee. I like his style already. Barnes to Webb. Robson to Stevens. Stephen. Chip by him to Lineker. Comes to Gary Stevens again, well forward and trying to make something with it, but he finds Webb, and now it's an England throw. Beardsley. Dummy. Beardsley gets it back from Barnes. Beardsley again! England ahead! A smile of delight from the Liverpool player, and well, last week he scored from an almost identical situation there, but it was disallowed because the whistle pulled him back, and in the cup final, Liverpool-Wimbledon. But here he is again, this time just chipping it over on the onrushing Jim Leighton, and England go into the lead.
Brilliant piece of work between two supreme individuals, isn't it? And yet I would think that's been worked out on the training ground. I shouldn't be surprised if that's not something they've worked out all week, that little dummy.
Lineker. Robson. And play.
I think we saw in the early build-up to that, Brian, also just how much space Gary Stevens has got to come forward in. Because McLeod's tucking right in on the left-hand side of the Scottish midfield, and there's absolutely acres for them, for both the Stevens, to pour down this left-hand side.
Free kick now. A foul there by Brian Robson. He was obviously having words and something more with Mo Johnston off that ball. Spotted by the referee. And a free kick to the Scots. Ron?
I would think this is a little bit different to what Mo Johnston's been experiencing in France. shouldn't think he gets subjected to this sort of tackling every week.
Well, here's a free kick to Scotland.
The next stage, a bit of a can hit benders on these, can't he?
Number 8, watch him. Waddle in the clouds behind. And the French referee insisting on the wall going back. Scotland looking for an equaliser now. Cloud drives it straight into the wall. Stay. McLeish is up there and knocked away well by Adams.
Probably consider themselves a little bit unlucky, Brian, to be one down at this moment in time, because they'd probably bossed the game.
I would think so. Adams. Lineker clipped from behind by Aitken, a free kick. I was thinking what an ironic twist it was. That was so similar, wasn't it, Beardsley's goal, to the one that wasn't allowed last week. And the same goal, the same angle.
That's right. Had a pal of mine this morning, Brian, very quickly, was prepared to bet any money you like that Beardsley got the first goal because of what happened last week.
Really? Well, he's in the money. It's with Brian Robson, a lot of space for Kenny Sansom on the far side. Off now, closing him down a little bit. Beardsley. And the dummy on McLeish. Tried to get it through towards Lineker. McStay finding Johnston. In turn for Nicol. Now the Coist. Simpson on this side for the first time, putting a good cross in. Adams getting it away. Clouds, Aitken. Clouds to McLeish. Again, Robson back. The header finds Barnes. His pass reaches Lineker. Stopped by Goff. Foul by Barnes, a free kick to Scotland. Scotland have won only 2 of the last 10 against England. Here at Wembley in 81 and in Glasgow in 85 when Richard Goff scored the winner. And now this goal down, if you just joined us, which you go just past the quarter-of-an-hour mark. England leading by 1-0, Peter Beardsley the score. Although Robson took possession again, and there's a ball from Robson sending Lineker on his way. Trevor Stephen through the middle, Robson through the middle, Beardsley is in there too, and Miller gets it away. Stevens again for England. Webb taking it wide to Barnes. A lot of blue shirts are back. Barnes jinking, weaving, gets his cross in. Lineker knocks it back. Webb gets it without quite enough purchase on the turn to trouble Leighton, but still good build up there by England.
Yes, after the first 5 or 6 minutes we've started to get into the game a little bit. I would say both, what's working very well for us is both our midfield players, both Webb and Robson, are both prepared to drive forward in support of the front people.
Right on the cloud. Robson really hustling and winning and setting Beardsley free. The Scots get back quickly. Beardsley loses a boot. Barnes gets the ball. Robson hobbling for a moment just back there. Stevens now to Stephen. Beardsley picks up his boots and the ball reaches Paul McStay. Oh, Johnston. McStay. It's a frenetic pace again still. But then that's usually the case when the old enemies meet. Robson. Lineker. A foul by Miller. A free kick for England. Saw Robson go down and looked to be hurt just for a moment ago, but he's okay, I think, Ron. He's played 9 of the last 11 internationals, so his injury problems hopefully are behind him. But I would fancy John Barnes to have a little look at this one, number 11. Wrong again, it's Beardsley. Webb. Stevens. It was Aitken who got it away. Goff versus Robson. And I think that was more accidental than anything else, that Robson nicked Goff after that ball had gone. I think it was an earnest attempt to get the ball and he just collided in there with Goff. Or am I being too charitable?
Brian, I think you've got to say that there'll be no keener competitor on the field than Robbo today. This is one game he would hate to get beaten in, and he looks as if he's trying to win it on his own at the moment.
That's a foul. I'm equally sure that every time any England player goes into a really strong challenge, Bobby Robson in the stand must be wincing, because he can ill afford to lose anybody with the European Championship so close.
I think that will also concern him about the number of free kicks our central defenders give away when they try to get at balls that aren't really theirs.
McStay and McLeod over the ball for Scotland. England leading 1-0. Watson's header away. Trevor Stephen. Stevie Nicol. 20 minutes gone. Roy Aitken. Harry McCoist. Nicol. Robson missed out on that one. Here's Simpson. To Goff, well forward. Scotland's ball. Hustled really well, Scotland, and I think they may well feel just a little unfortunate to be the goal behind. I bet you thought you'd never live to see the day when there'd be so many empty seats in a Wembley stadium for an England-Scotland game, Ron.
I must admit, Brian, when I came into the ground, I thought I'd come on the wrong day.
And here's Richard Goff with the throw for Scotland. Sansom up. One of the reasons, of course, is that no sales of tickets were made on this day, so it wasn't possible to walk up and get a ticket and come in. Robson finding Lineker.
Must say, fortunately, Brian, it hasn't sort of transmitted to the players, has it? I mean, there's no shortage of drive or endeavour from either side at the moment. It's as competitive as this game ever is.
Webb. Stevens. Miller's header. Stephen picking it up. Beardsley again for England. Now Barnes driving it straight at Leighton.
Can't help thinking, Brian, if Scotland don't do something about surrendering space in wide positions, they're letting themselves in for a hiding to nothing. I mean, England have so much space to play the ball when they're under pressure. Just knock it wide, and we've always got a white shirt emerging on it.
Back by Sansom to Shilton. Case in point now, although it's very deep. Stevens to Watson. In a lot of space on the far side at the moment. There he is. Beardsley, Barnes, Sansom, Robson. Space here for Gary Stevens. All closed in fairly quickly. Webb, Robson. Such competition, of course, for England in those midfield places with Peter Reid and Steve McMahon and Glenn Hoddle all eyeing a possible place themselves.
I would think, barring accidents though, Brian, I would think this is the side Bobby Robson's likely to start with, I should imagine now.
I think he intimated yesterday at a press conference, without saying as much, that this probably is the one that plays against the Republic of Ireland, or pretty near to it, in that first game in Stuttgart next month. Good news, of course, that with Monaco having won the French Championship, both Glenn Hoddle and Mark Hateley are available for the game against Colombia here on Tuesday.
He'll be very pleased as well to see Peter Beardsley get on the goals sheet, won't he? Because Beardsley, for all his brilliance at club level, doesn't always produce as many goals at international level as
that was only his 5th actually for England, and this is his 22nd cap.
I'm looking at him today, Brian. He seems to be playing further upfield than he would normally do.
There he is, finding Gary Stevens.
It's also very important if we do use the wide spaces, the England team, that we make far better use of it than that. I mean, I think Stevens could have a field day today. I keep mentioning this. I think he could keep pouring down the left-hand side if he wants to take the ball by the horns.
So Jim Leighton with the goal kick for Scotland. 25 minutes of the game gone here at Wembley. England leading by 1 goal to 0. Peter Beardsley the score. Watson in there. Aitken. Simpson. Stevens. Into Beardsley. Play for Trevor Steven. Nice out of play. In the crowd today we've got either managers or coaches from Holland and from Russia, who of course are in England's European Championship group. Presumably Jack Charlton, the Republic of Ireland. Maybe he knows all he needs to know. Maybe he's here in disguise, although on second thoughts I think that's unlikely. The Poles are here. They're in England's World Cup group, of course. Yugoslavia and Norway, who are in Scotland's World Cup group. They're represented in Switzerland as well, who England play next Saturday. So a lot of earnest men in the stand somewhere with notebooks, watching the performances of these two sides. And I would have thought fairly impressed with England, though Scotland may feel a little hard done by that they are behind. We've competed really well, England, and it was a little bit of magic that provided the goal for Beardsley.
But the goal came at a great time for us because, as we said earlier, Scotland were probably the better side, but since then it's got rather comfortable for England. In fact, I really do feel if we got another goal now, we could have the Scottish team sort of with the tongues hanging out, chasing the ball.
Well, here's a free kick. It's Dave Watson, who's been booked for a challenge on Mo Johnston. Aitken, McLeod, Nicol. Driven from a long way out, hit with great power. It's going well wide. And Celtic now, 23 years old. Webb, Loud, now Nicol. Fish to Goff. Stay, Simpson. Stay again. Nicol. Aitken. Skipper. Looking for Goff, who's come up, but Barnes have gone right back there with him. And really it does seem to be in those midfield areas that Scotland now have got to get a grip on things. They look reasonably comfortable at the back. And firing on all cylinders in that midfield area, Webb and Robson. People like McStay and Aitken have got to match that for Scotland. Break by Goff, covering a lot of ground. Webb brings it away after it was won in the first place by Dave Watson. Lineker. Foul on him. Play on, says the referee, but not there.
Well, Scotland have also got another problem, Brian, in as much as every time they make any sort of progress up the left-hand side, they haven't got a natural left footer in the team. I mean, Nicol, McLeod and people like that have to turn back and play the ball into central areas, and that gives the England team time to sort of regroup and get back behind the ball and take up good covering positions.
What you say is true, but now what we have to look at is a worry here. There's Lineker. He's injured after that challenge. And Steve Nicol. Physios, not one come on for that one, but you know, a dash across the pitch which is in vain because Lineker says I'm okay. Well, that was a bit of exercise for them, and it'll be a free kick to England, leading by that goal after 10 minutes from Peter Beardsley, and finding John Barnes. Sansom. Oh, total lack of understanding there between Stephen and Sansom.
You know, that's something I'd like to see Sansom do far more often, make that break behind. When he first started, when he first got in the English side, that used to be his forte, didn't it, bombing down the left-hand side? I think of late, Brian, I think it's changed that a lot.
Beardsley. Well, the incentive certainly should be there today. Good challenge by Simpson on Barnes, and England's throw. Sansom, who hurls quite a good long throw, and Tony Adams, his Arsenal teammate, has said, well, hold on, let me get up there. It is a good long throw, and it's aimed to Tony Adams, but the police should read it well for Scotland. Sansom again. Beardsley. Sansom. Webb. Nearly got it through to Robson, but it was well read by Willie Miller. Here's Ali McCoist for Scotland. Stopped though by Watson. Simpson finding Nicol. Neil Simpson again from Aberdeen. Steve Nicol. Grish. McLeod. McStay. Draw at Hampden last season. 9 of the Scottish side, in fact, played in that game. But England leading 1-0 here. Gary Stevens. Up goes Nicol. Up goes Webb. Nicol again. Scottish fans doing their best to rouse their team in the dark blue shirts.
I think a little mention should be made of Neil Webb at the moment, Brian. There's been a lot of talk about his out of form. He's the player likely to give way for McMahon or Peter Reid, but certainly he's come here and looked as if he's right at his peak.
Grish. Yes, probably Robson left him out for the game against Hungary. He thought he looked a little stale, but he said he was saying yesterday he seems to have captured it all again now. Indeed, Barnes has as well. Lineker in for Webb. And talking about Neil Webb again for a moment, he said he was really hurt when I left him out of the game against Hungary, and he said in a way that's really what I want to see. He's desperate to play for England. 6 caps, 1 goal. Very good run indeed by John Barnes. How would you rate his performance with 35 minutes gone, Ron?
He's done everything right. He's laid in one very good situation. He's been involved in the goal. He's been nice and tidy. I would just like to see him maybe play a little bit freer. I always prefer him when he plays as the license to go all over the pitch, as opposed to maybe just holding down the left-hand side.
Adams back to Shilton.
I think that's possibly one of the big differences when he plays for Liverpool, perhaps because they're in control of games more than the opposition, that he can sort of drift in and out and go where he likes. When he's like that, Brian, he's a very, very difficult player to manage. I think if you pin him against the...
Well, given away badly there by Tony Adams to Paul McStay, who wastes an opportunity that was opening up for him, but a mistake there by the big England defender, Tony Adams.
I think that's something certainly with Adams in league games. We've seen him make vital mistakes this season, and if we're going to be successful in Germany, he's got to make sure that his concentration is total.
Watson battling in there. The ball reaches Mo Johnson on the far side. He's got Goff in support for Scotland. Comes to Paul McStay. Here's Steve Nicol. Beardsley back at him. Stay again. Nicol. Oh, Lineker might get to that one. Webb. Lineker might get after this one though. Lovely ball played by Neil Webb. He's shaken off Nicol. It's pushed away by Leighton. Could Beardsley get there? Saved again by Leighton. Not over yet though. But it's a corner for England. Beardsley covered so much ground there. Ron Atkinson.
Brian, I think Lineker will be, Beardsley will be doing his nut at Lineker here. It's clean through. OK, he's a striker, he's selfish, he scores goals. But if he'd have just looked to his right, Beardsley was completely unmarked for any sort of ball faced across the goal. Good work from the keeper, good second save.
Now Barnes then with the corner for England. Floated in there, right across the face of that goal. Not sure it didn't come off Murdo McLeod. But another corner for England, so it must have come off Murdo McLeod. Trevor Stephen to take this one. Webb and Adams and Beardsley. Lineker in there too. Webb's header saved by Leighton. Watson's header. Richard Goff. Down. I think it's Neil Webb, isn't it? It is. Not one physio, but two waiting to come on again. Is this a new departure, having two on?
I was going to say, remember when we used to laugh at the Brazilians when what was it, Big America, and that used to race on, it used to be multitudes of them. We don't get this many when there's a road crash now, do we?
Well, here's the injury to Neil Webb coming up, as he went challenging there with Richard Goff. Goff, I think, genuinely going for the ball, but that was a painful strike on the England number 4. Steve McMahon wondering, as a result of that, whether he might get on. Steve McMahon's had a couple of England caps, and Bobby Robson making it quite clear that he's been very pleased with the way he's performed for England, but just felt that Webb deserved to go here. And as we were saying, this could well be as near as anything the side that plays in the first match in the European Championship. So McMahon has to go and sit down there. England's free kick. England leading by a goal to nil. Robson takes that free kick. Webb getting in there. Beardsley. Quick change of mind there. He's lost a boot again. That's the second time in the game he's lost his boot. And Webb keeps it. Changed his mind, decided about a shot, and very nearly curled it into the far side. Some more agile goalkeeping from Jim Leighton.
Yes, super. Kept his cool once he got past the last man, and was a bit unlucky. A good save by the goalkeeper, very unlucky from Webb. He picked his spot well and tried to swerve it round him.
Got the better of Stevie Nicol here, very well. Changed his mind, and then decided, after changing his mind, that he'd have a shot at goal. Leighton saved it well. Up goes Watson. There's Robson. 5 minutes to go to half-time. England leading by a goal to nil. Maurice Johnston now for Scotland. Richard Goff to McCoist, but it's played back by Adams for Shilton.
I think if Scotland are really going to make an impression on the English defence, they've got to try and get somebody from the midfield areas past the strikers. I mean, I feel a bit sorry for Mo Johnson and Ali McCoist at the moment. They've been asked to bear the brunt of the attack and also to do a lot of chasing the ball against the England back four. They've certainly got to get some support from midfield or from wide positions of Scotland.
In the meantime, Lineker's on his way. No foul. Lineker claims a penalty and is annoyed. And as you went through the picture, you could see Willie Miller. No, it was a dive, referee. Good decision. And the referee just explaining it to Lineker. Let's have a look at that one again. What do you think, Ron?
I've seen them given for less than that. Very recently we saw one that was on a par with that, wasn't it?
Last Saturday, you mean?
Correct. I think he had a justifiable claim for that, Brian, actually.
It remains at 1-0. And here's John Barnes for England. Stephen. Can he tease a mistake out of Nickel? Finds Beardsley, gets it back to Trevor Stephen, crossed in by him! And Lineker diving for it. Webb advancing on the far side. Neither could get the touch. Here's Barnes. Cross comes in. Steve Nicol first to react for Scotland. Just under 3 minutes of the first half left. Here's Beardsley for England. Played in once again to Lineker. And again the dummy that... solid dummy that led to the first goal, almost led to Webb crashing in and getting the second.
Brian, I would think Andy Roxburgh will be fairly happy if he gets to half-time at 1-0, because apart from the flurry they had in the first 5 minutes, England really have dominated the game, and on another day might have been 3 goals to the good.
McCoist. Adams battling away there. Barnes. It's Barnes who gave it to McCoist, but his shot from the way out is no problem for Peter Shilton. Robson. As you say, England might well have been 2 or 3 up now. I'm just wondering, it's the first time Manchester United fans would have had a good chance to have a look at Jim Leighton since he signed for them. I'm just wondering, as a former manager yourself of the club, what your feeling is about the signing of him and what he'll do for Man United.
Well, on a couple of occasions today, certainly he's kept Scotland in the game. Hasn't done anything that I wouldn't expect a top keeper to do at the moment, but everything he's done with an air of confidence, and he certainly on a big occasion proves that he's not going to be overawed with it.
Watson now for England. As we reach the last minute of the first half. Leash versus Beardsley. Stephen takes it on. Hustled unfairly by Steve Nicol, conceding the free kick. This could be interesting. They'll certainly plant both Adams and Watson forward for this.
I think one of the biggest differences in the first half, Brian, has been as well, we seem to have more pace both in the midfield and in the forward areas. We always seem to be, that was a first-class example there, to be quicker to the ball than the Scottish side.
So the big man up from the back. And who's going to take this? It's going to be John Barnes. Floated by him to the far side. Leighton gathers comfortably. And finds Neil Simpson. Is there any time now that the French referee, Mr. Cuneau, would add on for injuries? End of this first half, Johnston being forced away towards that touchline by Kenny Sansom, supported by Neil Webb. The throw to Scotland. Neil Simpson with it. Neil Johnston, who played, of course, here for Watford in the '84 Cup final against Everton, with John Barnes. Miller, a little chip forward. Murdo McLeod looking to get it back in. Furious half clearance by Trevor Stephen, crossed in once more. Goff is up there. Johnston is in there too. Simpson trying to get in, and what's the referee given? A corner. So a minute of injury time has passed. And Scotland with a last-ditch attempt to get back on level terms before the interval. This time Murdo McLeod's going to take it in, swinging corner. with Ali McCoist at the near post. Alex McLeish is up from the back. Roy Aitken is in there too. Richard Gough also. There's McLeish with a header. Gough too, and safe in the arms of Shilton as the half-time whistle goes. With England leading, having survived the flurries early on from a really eager Scottish side, began to take command, particularly when Peter Beardsley put them ahead with a splendid goal after just 10 minutes. And that indeed is the half-time score here at Wembley. It's England 1, Scotland 0.
Are you ready to get closer? Getting ready to let blue to blade shave you closer. Let's step into the blue, Gillette Blue 2.
Come on, it'll be good.
No, it won't.
It will.
It won't.
It will.
She'll be there.
Who?
Joyce Oliphant.
Joyce Oliphant. She won't be there.
She will.
She's probably forgotten all about it by now.
She won't. I know she won't.
Look. She won't be there.
Look, I'm not going, okay?
You can drive.
What? Your Cavalier SRI?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
The Cavalier SRI from Vauxhall. Once driven, forever smitten.
If it matters to London, we cover it.
Where do millions of jets, helicopters, planes, trains and lorries go when they need top-quality fuels? The same place you do. BP. BP, on the move.
Lynx, the all-over body spray for men that's hard to top. Lynx, because first impressions last.
If an engine could choose its own oil, it couldn't choose a better oil than Duckham's Hypergrade. The engine's choice.
July 16th. The day had come. The moon awaited.
It looks like a great place.
Since the earliest time, man has imagined this moment. Now the time had come.
We're now in the approach phase, everything looking good. Go for orbit, go for orbit. 33 degrees. Still looking very good. Oh man, that's incredible. The Eagle has landed.
Budweiser. That's what a beer's all about.
Welcome back. England 1, Scotland 0. That's the score at the halfway point. A really fearsome start to the match as well, which continued for most of the first half. Now, we singled out Dave Watson, what an important game it is before the match, Terry, and after 2 minutes he collected a booking. I wonder from a defender's point of view what you made of that.
Well, I thought it was a good tackle. The ball gets played back here after a lunge by Brian Robson. The ball gets played out by Mona McLeod, straight up to Maurice Johnson, who tries to collect the ball, and there's the contact, and I think Maurice Johnson made a bit of a meal of that, and unfairly I think he was cautioned.
The Scot showed all the whole Rob Roy spirit.
You believe I can believe anything, go on.
I was going to say, the Scot showed all the old Rob Roy spirit to start with, Ian. Did you think they were unfortunate to lose the goal at the point they did?
I thought we had a good first 2 minutes. No, Scotland really have had an early 10 minutes, and then the goal. Since the goal, and then that little flurry at the end there, a minute from half-time, Scotland's not been in the game at all, and England, you know, thoroughly deserved to be one up.
It was a nice little Liverpool combination, which didn't come off last week. You'll be delighted to see it come off today, no?
Well, I mean, it was truly a skillful goal, and Peter Beardsley here. England have done this quite a lot in the game. You know, a lovely little dummy set up by Barnes, and here's the skill here of Beardsley. Could have squared it, waits for the goalkeeper, and then just dinked it over him. It was a sweet goal.
You were out of your seat, Terry. Delighted to see that, and the style of it as well. Not so much as Ian was saying. Great stylish goal, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, sometimes Pete Beardsley looks as though he's not really interested, and the ball gets played up to him, but he's very, very quick-witted and very sharp mentally as well as physically, and the ball was laid in. A great touch by John Barnes and a great finish, very cool finish. I mean, that's what makes Peter Beardsley a great top-class player.
What about the John Barnes contribution, Ian? We talked about him before the game as well. Is he doing enough?
Sporadic, I think. You know, he's in and out again. He's not quite, you know, been with us the whole of the game. But when he does get the ball, and you will see him, a beautiful skill, Barnes. Richard Goff's had a good game against him, mind you, having said that. But this is the kind of thing that we want to see from Barnes: get the ball and go at people. And look at that lovely little ball to the back post. Knocked back, and there's another little half chance here for England. Neil Webb getting in and out. Neil Webb's got in a few things throughout that first half, and as the half wore on, he was more and more influential in England attack.
Now, England had one excellent opportunity to increase their lead, Terry. That's when Gary Lineker broke down the left, and it produced a great double save by Jim Leighton, Manchester United's new goalkeeper. You obviously know him well.
Yes, here he goes. He shoots well with his left foot, and a great save by Jim Leighton. He gets up quickly, and Peter Beardsley's now ready to pounce. And he gets across his goal really quickly and smothers it well. A great save. And Jim Leighton's really played well today, as he has in quite a few games for Scotland recently. He's played very well.
That's the reason we've gone 8 games undefeated up until this one at the moment, because Leighton has been fantastic. He really is a top-class goalkeeper. And I don't know why people don't know enough about him in England. You know, I think they'll be surprised when he gets to United.
They will do
start
soon
the
anyway.
season.
They will do soon.
That's right. He's a super goalkeeper.
Marvellous keeper, yes.
Right, halfway point. It's England 1, Scotland 0. England in command. The second half follows the break.
Frederick Fox and Charlie Hawk don't always agree. But they do love Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's because of the special herbs and spices coating.
No, it's the freshly prepared chicken.
Extra special coat.
Well, what's a little difference of opinion between friends? Kentucky Fried Chicken. The secret's in the taste.
Just a minute here, Freddie.
When you take your access card abroad, MasterCard and Eurocard travel with you.
Together, this means that no other card is accepted in more places in the world than Access. 3 major credit cards in one. Around the globe, your Access card puts you in control.
Come on. Let's surprise Mummy. We'll be back any minute.
You'll be here any minute.
Oliver! My spare keys are in the office.
Oliver, listen to me. Now pull this little knob up here. Oliver! And don't touch anything.
Vodafone inquires. My Vodafone number's locked in my car, and so's my 3-year-old son.
Don't worry, Mr. Nichols. I'll phone the car. You get back outside as quickly as you can.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
Oliver.
And how old are you, Oliver?
3.
Now, you see the button on the door beside you?
Yeah.
You lift that up. Bye-bye.
More people choose the Rakel Vodafone network because we've invested in people, as well as technology.
Everywhere I go, I see you. I feel I'm at home. And every different road I travel, I'm never alone. Such a gentle way about you, all around the world. Wouldn't go away without you, my Singapore girl.
Welcome back. The team's just reappearing. Terry, Ian, just time to clear up one other incident from the first half when Gary Lineker went through and he thought it was a penalty, didn't he? And what was your view?
Well, yeah, first, you know, you always think when you see a thing without slow motion, it always looks better because of the fact that you're seeing it full pace and it all just happens in a blur. But looking at it here, I would think he got fouled there. I would
definitely fouled. I think he was fouled, but it was like my penalty was 2 years ago against Charlie Nicholas. I think it was borderline on the edge of the area.
Yours was blatant. I saw that earlier on.
Thanks very much.
Penalty.
Thank you very much.
6 inches outside the box, Terry.
I'll hit you later on. Don't worry about that.
I tell you, I hope Scotland shake the team up a little bit at half-time. I think Andy Roxburgh's got to do something because we get no width at all. I mean, the lads that he's got playing, Simpson and McLeod, are doing a good job. I mean, it's a containing job in midfield. We've got to get players that can go forward and give the lads up front a wee bit of support. Now, he's got Kevin Gallagher on the bench, and I think he should play him. You know about this boy, don't you?
Yes, he's very quick. He's been a thorn on our side, and he's been very quick. He's very tenacious. He gets in the box, scores a lot of goals. I think the Scottish team have been playing quite well up to the box, up to the last third of the pitch, but they seem to lack the penetration. I think Gallagher could give them that.
He could be the man. I just hope that Andy Roxburgh does that. If not now at half-time, certainly at some point in the game, because we've got to get a bit of width. We've got to try and get around behind him. At the moment, we're just powder puff. You know, we're not getting anything. We've had about one shot at goal.
But I'm slightly worried on behalf of England that we are only 1 goal up. I mean, I think our play warrants to be 2 or 3 up. So
yes,
that's it. Yeah. You know, it's a funny league one. And if Scotland get a half a chance, it's normally buried with the likes of McCoy and Johnson. So I'll be looking for a quick goal again, just to settle the nerves and make sure that we go into a convincing win, hopefully.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Terry. Let's rejoin Brian Moore.
Thanks a lot, Elton. Well, the teams, as you can see, back on the field. England leading by 1-0 to 0. Having a quick cast around, it looks as though no substitutes have been made for the start of the second half. 2 allowed, of course, from 5 nominated players before the game. Referee not happy that Beardsley is standing inside the Scottish half, so he's there. That's right, back he goes. And away we go. England then now attacking the goal to our left, leading by 1-0. Robson to Lineker. McLeish getting in there. records say there was a mild disturbance in a crowd just at the end of the half-time interval, and the police poured in and appear to have sorted everything out fairly quickly. They really poured in big numbers. Here's Steve Nicol. McLeod. And the ball out of play. It'll be a throw to England. You were saying to me at half-time, Ron, that England should be 3 up now, and you felt that maybe they overindulged a little bit when they were on top in that first half.
Yes, I think that's always a danger when you're well on top of your game and you're playing on a nice pitch like this and it's quite hot and you're popping the ball about, but you start to take little liberties instead of still going for the opposition's throats and trying to kill them off. Only a slight criticism, Brian, because I think England have played very well since they've scored the goal. But I think if we're going to be a power in the European games, we've got to learn how to kill sides up when we've got them there.
Well, one of the reasons that Scotland haven't been killed off, there's the man with the ball at the moment, Jim Leighton, who made some excellent saves in that first half. Barnes. Goff. McLeish gets it back once again to Leighton. Simpson, Goff for Scotland. Diving header from Tony Adams. A number of people being marched away by the police, but they seem to have everything under control at the left-hand end of the field. Stephen now to Webb. Stevens. And now Goff. And it'll be a goal kick. Talking about Scotland being undefeated this season, England for their part have lost only once, and that was back in September in Düsseldorf against West Germany. Played 6-1, 2 drawn, 3 lost 1. Sansom with England's throw. Slightly off-putting at the moment because all the noise is related to what's going on with the police activity at one end of the ground and nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. Whether that's affecting the players as well. In the meantime, Watson charging in on McCoist. Scotland get a throw. And no, it's a free kick, which McLeod will take for Scotland. Up goes Adams, just beats Goff for it. Goff could be a danger coming up in those situations. Another free kick for Scotland. They're taking McLeish forward as well for this one.
I think you're right there, Brian. I think both Goff, McLeish and Aiken all represent their main threat from such situations. I think that at the moment looks their best way of getting an equaliser.
McLeish and Goff are poised, along with McCoist and Roe Johnston, as Paul McStay now takes this free kick for Scotland, hit in low, to no avail. It's collected by Peter Beardsley and put away for a throw to Scotland.
You know, Brian, that really is scandalous, isn't it, when you see a world-class player or a player with aspiration to world-class take free kicks like that. That's a great situation, well, not a great situation, but a good situation.
McCoist into the side netting.
Good situation thrown away, Brian. That actually looked probably their most penetrating move there with McCoist. I think it's the first time in the game that one of the Scottish strikers has been able to get behind the English back four.
And the support they've had hasn't matched the support that Lineker and Beardsley have enjoyed.
No, I would have to say I feel sorry for the two boys up front. They've really worked hard for a little reward.
Aitken winning that well in the air. Johnston trying to get it on for McCoist. He's beaten by Adams. Here's Webb for England. Hustled by McStay. Gary Stevens getting it away. Beardsley. Aitken. Webb first to react. Finding Sansom. And now Webb. Lineker. Beardsley. Webb. Midfielder getting forward there. Webb with a shot. Way off.
I don't believe he realised he got that much space. Some good combination play between the English strikers and Webb joining in.
So a goal kick for Scotland. Jump by Watson. Lineker for Beardsley. Back for Gary Lineker. Goal kick.
Well, they've surely got to make one of these, Babe Ryan. They're just cutting the heart of the Scottish defence to pieces, are Lineker and Beardsley at the moment. I think Beardsley then didn't, Lineker then didn't know whether to play Brian Robson in or go himself, and he got caught in between two stools.
Sansom, Aitken, tackling away in the midfield. Goff. Oh, it's a bad back pass by Goff. Lineker's got it. Leighton couldn't reach it. Beardsley is available. That Beardsley shot was knocked into Willie Miller. But it was a bad back pass by Goff. He really wasn't looking closely enough.
I must admit, Brian, I've seen more of that this season. In fact, I've called this the year of the back pass. I've seen more bad back passes or defenders not concentrating than I think I've ever seen in my career.
1-0, a goal after 10 minutes. Peter Beardsley, if you've just joined us, we're now 7.5 minutes into the second half of this game between England and Scotland at Wembley. Tony Adams for England. Gary Stevens. Webb's made a good break from the midfield, being pursued though by Roy Aitken, the Scottish skipper. Webb again. Aitken, Nicol. McLeod with the throw. Robson. England's throw. World Cup qualifier being played in Belfast. Good news for Northern Ireland, 3-0 up against Malta. Nicol with Scotland's throw. Very little shape about this game in the second half, Ron.
No, I think England's biggest problem at the moment is they don't get complacent. And they're getting all the time in the world to play. We've certainly appeared to get the space and dominate the midfield, which we did in the first half.
Nicol. Leash. Adams there first. Nicol. Got Morris Johnston up. Played behind both Johnston and McCoist. Kenny Sansom can bring it forward now for England. Finds Beardsley, look at the space there for him. Lineker's made a good break for him. Sanson's gone right forward as well, still with Beardsley. Now with Sansom, the chip by him. Oh, a marvellous save.
Some good keeping there, Bram, but full marks to Kenny Sansom. He's seen that so early, and that's out and out class.
There's his little chip. And a splendid piece of saving by Jim Leighton. And John Barnes with the corner for England. And a bad one. I was looking at the records without battering you over the head with statistics all the time, but Kenny Sansom has, this is his 81st cap, and until today has scored only 1 goal for England. My goodness, he was so close to making that 2. There's the proof. And 29 years old. It was such a delightful little chip as well, wasn't it? I mean, he'd done a lot of running, and there was such good quality thinking at the end of it.
Oh, brilliant! That would have been one of the great goals in the composition between these two teams. Can't help thinking whether Scotland might be better off maybe taking a bit of a gamble and bringing somebody on like Malpass at fullback and pushing Nicol into midfield, where he's got some great energy, and that's where Scotland look to be lacking at the moment. A little bit of zip, a little bit of energy in the middle of the field.
Webb there first, certainly not lacking in energy. Robson playing a ball for Stephen. And look at Gary Stevens there, making that break through the middle. You just caught a fraction of a glimpse of him. Cloud versus Stephen, and a free kick to England. No sign of any movement on any of the substitute benches, though. As Stephen now lines up this free kick for England, though Barnes has sauntered across there. There's the 2 benches. Tony Adams in there. Dave Watson too. Lineker, needless to say. Stephen with a shot, deflected across the goal. They'd claimed an offside. And in fact, the offside's been given. Caps and conceded only 32 goals, Jim Leighton, and an ever-present this season in the Scottish national side. His first appearance for Scotland back in 1982, so no lack of experience there. And he's had an outstanding game today. Sansom, oh, lovely skill. Beardsley. Barnes get to that? No, it's Neil Simpson there first. McStay comes back to McStay again, and now Aitken got the better of Webb as he finds McStay. A good break here by Scotland, stopped by Adams. Simpson keeping it going as he finds Johnston. A deep cross by him towards McLeod on the far side, and Shilton there to gather for England. When McStay made his break, the Scots began to look quite menacing, and it was a good header by this fellow too, Rodo McLeod. Robson finding Lineker with a splendid ball. Stephen. Goal kick.
I think that's one of the big plus points from England's point of view that you've just mentioned there, Brian. The quality of the service into our front players has been fabulous. I think the Scottish have allowed them the space, but it's all credit to the English creative players. They've had some great balls forward.
Goff under pressure from Barnes.
I think if Leighton has got a bad point by the look of it, Brian, it's his kicking. He's actually, every time he's had a dead ball situation, he's really put his own defence, his own back four in trouble. He hasn't been able to clear it into areas where at least they could get turned around. Very often Richard Goff, where the ball's landing most of the while, is finding himself having to play long back passes.
Offside against Lineker.
Similar to the one that nearly gave Lineker his chance. I think that's always a disadvantage, that when your goalkeeper can't get good distances with his kicks.
Coming towards the quarter of an hour mark in this second half. England 1, Scotland 0. Peter Beardsley after 10 minutes of the first half. Up goes Watson, wins it in the air, helped on by Robson. McStay. Aitken lines up a shot, straight at Shilton. Beardsley touching it on for Stephen, back for Gary Stevens. Brian Robson. Too slow there, Adams. He was a little lucky that McCoist helped it on to Sansom, and now it here's with Barnes. Neil Webb. Brian Robson waiting alongside him. It's with Brian Robson. Feeding Stephen. There's cross coming in towards Barnes, and it was Simpson who got it away for Scotland. Sansom playing it forward again, but a poorly controlled pass, and it'll be a throw to Scotland. So far, is this what Bobby Robson was looking for today, do you think, Ron Atkinson?
I was thinking these sort of games, the England-Scotland match, the main thing is to win it. That's the first thing. Now, obviously, he'll be quite pleased if the score should stay like this or improve with the balance of the side. I think they'll have got confidence from it. I think it's a lot different to playing against the Hollands of the world, who play an entirely different game. But certainly, team patterns being good, the commitment and attitudes being good. And if we win it, it won't do the confidence any harm.
And there's just under half an hour to go still as Steve Nicol takes this throw for Scotland.
The thing he will be worrying about is what we talked about in the first half, is the fact that they've dominated the game, had a lot of chances, more than they would expect to get in international football, and are still only leading by 1 goal. As you well know in football, anything can happen at any given time when there's only that much the difference between sides.
15 goals they've scored this season in their 6 internationals, but they got a real splurge of them against Turkey in a European qualifier. Failed to score in Budapest, of course, against Hungary. Got 2 here against Holland. Nicol. Good jump there. And Gough again showing what a dangerous character he can be in that England penalty area. And will Robson save that from going out? He will. He's got support from Sansom along the touchline. Barnes shouting for the ball inside, and Barnes gets it. He's got Beardsley alongside him. But Sansom has really got the feel for it this afternoon, carried on with his run, but failed to get it as McStay plays it wide. Up goes Watson for England. Nicol now coming in for Scotland. McCoist. Got the better of Webb. England claiming the ball had gone out, but the linesman kept the flag down. It's with Steve Nicol for Scotland. Sansom who got the header, Webb who then releases Trevor Stephen. Lineker, Barnes. A little roar from the crowd there as they saw the ball at Barnes' feet with a little bit of space as well, and he's made good use of it by finding Beardsley. A little dummy by him, and the chip goes across the 6-yard area. It's another goal kick to Scotland. Certainly have had the better of the game now. They just need to be able to stamp their authority on the whole afternoon now with a more emphatic scoreline to England. In the meantime, Scotland looking themselves for an equaliser. Maurice Johnston. It's a good long cross by him, but Watson's there for England. Beardsley getting support from Webb. Some strong running there. And a lovely ball by Beardsley now for Lineker. And a bit of space for him to consider one or two alternatives. Well, he's going to try and take McLeish. He gets a goal kick, not a corner.
You know, we were talking about before the game, Brian, about the John Barnes situation, about how a player with so much talent who's done everything this season, but yet hasn't stamped himself on the big games. I think this is an ideal opportunity now. He's got plenty of space, and yet he seems quite content with just to play a role, instead of now taking the game by the scruff of the neck and really turning the Scottish side inside out. And I'd like to see him just drive at the game a little bit more now.
Goff winning it in the air. Lineker just touching it through for Webb, but he took a nasty blow from Roy Aitken. Stevens, Webb, Robson. Webb again. It's time for Beardsley. A nice touch by him to Robson, but he was challenged from behind by Simpson successfully. In goes Adams, and the flag up for an offside against Gary Lineker.
I think you saw them when I was talking about, Brian, in terms of overindulging. I mean, the England players were playing nice patterns with the ball and yet not really trying to hurt the opposition. I think that's something. It's nice to be able to express yourself and enjoy your game, but I still think you've got to take into account the fact is to win the thing.
Neil Simpson, the injured Scottish player. Aberdeen. The crowd here at Wembley, the official figures now being given, it's 70,408. Must have been coming to Wembley a few years. It looks considerably less than that to me, Ron.
Yes, it makes you think if the 70,000 in today, we must get about 150,000 in for cup finals and things like that, mustn't we?
I think they might be thinking about making a substitution in Scotland. Looks like they're going to bring on Tommy Burns. In the meantime, it's McLeish. Watson's done a good steady old job at the back there for England today, I must say. Nicol gets it back.
Well, I think he's established his claim today. I think he'll now go to the championships as the #1 contender in there.
Beaten in the air there, though, by Mo Johnston. Sansom. Barnes. Sansom. Again it's Sansom. Tony Adams. Halfway through the second half now. England 1, Scotland 0. Robson. McLeish with a header. McLeod. In goes Robson. And now Beardsley. Stopped by McLeish, or at least half stopped. It comes to Barnes. Barnes can play it on again to Peter Beardsley. Scorer of the only goal so far. Nicol versus Stephen. Liverpool versus Everton. Now Webb. Now Trevor Stephen. Played in early by Gary Stevens, but it's Leighton's ball. Fewer than 4 substitutes. Scotland now take this throw? Richard Goff with it. Sansom. The header goes to Maurice Johnston. Goff. Again, a good positive header by Dave Watson. Beardsley now to Stephen. England fanning out again and coming forward with some pace. Trevor Stephen. Webb. And a poor ball by Webb, giving Barnes no opportunity at all. Simpson playing it forward, and again Watson is there with a little bit of luck to help him. Sansom. Barnes. Now Robson. Making a lot of progress, but now it reaches Gary Stevens. It comes back again to Dave Watson. Must be about 10 passes, I would have thought. Barnes coming in, Watson, and back to Shilton. Achieved nothing, but it riled the Scots. Now Trevor Stephen. Stevens. Barnes. Sansom. It's Kenny Sansom again. Watson. Oh, he's got Gary Stevens in behind the fullback. There's the cross coming in, but Goff will be able to cushion it back for Lee. England about to make a substitution. Chris Waddle coming on, getting instructions there from the England manager.
Yes, I've been watching Barnes for the last, well, since the turn of half-time. He doesn't look as if he's able to run very well. I don't know whether he's the man coming off, Brown, but he certainly has just been standing still in this left-hand spot at the moment. There's a first-class example there when Stevens crossed the ball. Barnes was nowhere near the far post, which is his normal position. I've got a well, he is injured, I'm sure he is.
It's Trevor Stephen who's coming off, though. So Trevor Stephen, who's had an excellent season, not only for Everton, but certainly for England as well, comes off. Chris Waddle, he had a long spell out with injury and was really disappointing in Budapest against Hungary. Bobby Robson has a lot of faith in this Tottenham man. And let's see if Waddle can repay it now, as Willie Miller now takes the free kick for Scotland. Up goes Adams and wins it. There's McStay with a header as well. Bring Tommy Burns on, and I think take Neil Simpson off. Adams in. Can Barnes get to that? No, Willie Miller's there first. Barnes to Sansom. That's a foul, surely. Not given. And Brian Robson remonstrating with the referee over that failure to give the free kick. And they're taking Neil Simpson off and bringing Tommy Burns on. A little Celtic man. We should see someone skipping down the old touchline, I fancy, Ron.
Well, if nothing else, he'll add some enthusiasm into the middle part of their side. And talking of enthusiasm, it's been a long time since I've seen front players play with the same abilities as Lineker and Beardsley.
Beardsley then with the cross. Waddle trying to come in on the far side, I have to say, without a great deal of conviction. And here's the first touch for Tommy Burns on his last cap for Scotland back in 1983. Nicholl. Gleish. Tommy Burns. Nice cheer at the Scottish fans, but that pass certainly won't cheer Mo Johnson. He had no chance of getting that. Johnston. Burns. A little jink. Shown the door to Neil Webb not once but twice there. Aitken. Well, maybe that's got Scotland on their way. But Aitken's cross is too deep. It's a goal kick for England.
Well, they should have enough experience of playing together, shouldn't they, the Scottish midfield? It's virtually an all-Celtic affair now. I still feel, though, Brian, that Scotland are suffering from somebody that can actually penetrate from the middle of the field, either in terms of a winger or in terms of an out-and-out attacking midfield player. Very, very important that England keep playing into the front players. I mean, Beardsley and Lineker have been perfectly happy to share the load and take the responsibility all afternoon. They want to play, they want to score goals.
Robson now to Stevens. And now for Waddle. He's gone past Burns. Onto the left foot. And a shot that called for a useful save from Jim Leighton. Burns again. McLeod. And a foul. Scotland wanting to make another substitution. This time they're going to take off Ali McCoist. I think it's Kevin Gallagher who's coming on. In his first appearance, the Dundee United lad against Colombia on Tuesday night. So McCoist goes off. I fancy really that he probably wasn't 100% fit, you know, Ron.
Well, plus the fact they've had him working hard in sort of what we'd call the donkey job, having to do an awful lot of running, sharing the workload with Mo Johnson, and he's probably absolutely out on his feet now. Be interesting to see what this kid does. He's got good pace and a fresh pair of legs now.
Saw him on Tuesday night against the Colombians, and really he played as well as anybody in the Scottish side. Played as an orthodox wingman on the right-hand side. So another injury, and again we get the two physios on, Fred Street and Alan Smith. Peter Beardsley. And in the meantime, as a precaution, Big Mick Harford warming up for England.
In a funny old way, you know, I think that's something Scotland would relish. I think McLeish would probably be preferring to play against the type of player like Mick Harford, or stand up against him and fight for things in the air, as opposed to the mobility of people like Beardsley. I mean, quite frankly, he hasn't been able to find Beardsley all day. Beardsley's been dropping short, been going behind him, and really he's led him a merry dance all afternoon, hasn't he?
In the meantime, Gary Stevens on the touchline getting some words from Bobby Robson. Trying to change the pattern a little bit, maybe. Stevens now finding Chris Waddle. Here's Beardsley. Beardsley again for Waddle. Back for Gary Stevens. Again, the ball hit in early and touched by Barnes. And England very close to a second goal as that header from Barnes came off the top of the crossbar. Some good work by Waddle leading up to it again, though. and the ball then played in early by Gary Stevens. There's Barnes' header, and there it is bouncing off the top of the bar. That's being played for the Rous Cup. In memory of the great Sir Stanley Rous, of course, won last season by Brazil. Cornered contest between Scotland, England and one other nation, Brazil last year, Colombia this. Tommy Burns. Nickel on the far side. Scotland quite rightly feeling that they're not out of it by any means with the score only at 1-0. With 10 minutes remaining, and here's Chris Waddle streaming away for England. Lineker up there with him as well. Robson's made a good break too, and Waddle just couldn't deliver right at the end. Burns losing out, a foul by Webb, a free kick to Scotland.
That must have been particularly infuriating to Brian Robson, who'd made a 70-yard dash to join Waddle, only to see the thing fizzle out like that. Particularly at the time, Brian, when the England midfield, Webb and Robson, are possibly getting a little bit outnumbered now. With Stephen going off, he's thrown a greater workload on them.
Miller with the free kick for Scotland. Johnston, will he be able to turn on this one? Aitken trying to chip it back again, and it might even come. Oh, Shilton saved that one from Gallagher with his feet. Barnes still hasn't got it away and should have done. Gallagher fell as though he was poleaxed, but the referee took no notice, and England in a spot of bother there, and until right at the end there's an infringement and a free kick to a relieved team in white. But there was proof, if ever it was needed, that even though you've dominated the game and scored only once, you can be caught right at the end. And England's so lucky as that Gallagher shot bounced off Shilton's feet.
Brian, I'm John Barnes' biggest admirer. I think he's a tremendous player. But if I was Bobby Robson now, I think I'd be looking to get Waddle on the left wing and get somebody like Matt Marnon to give us a little bit of a ginger up in midfield, because quite honestly, at the moment we're starting, the signs that we're starting to get overrun a little bit in a game that really they've no right to be in, the Scots.
Well, let's see, it's going to be a very interesting last 9 minutes now. England leading 1-0, but the fire has been refueled in Scottish bellies, I fancy now, and they're beginning to come for us.
Anyone's fought in his team cause this afternoon, I think it's the little blonde fella in 11, Johnson. I think he's had a tremendous game in terms of effort. You know, there's nothing more soul-destroying for a front player than not to get good service. But his head's certainly not dropped. He's kept at it all afternoon.
Adams, Lineker. Miller gets it away. In goes Webb. Doesn't reach Waddle. But here's Stevens. Waddle playing it in for Barnes. And Beardsley and Stevens on the wrong wavelength. It'll be Scotland's throw. Leading the charge on the far side, and it needed a header clear from the captain, Brian Robson. Scotland's corner, pushing blue shirts forward now with a little over 6 minutes to go. Gallagher with the corner. Two England defenders going for that one, and there's Burns in space on the far side. Fortunately for England, nothing came of it, but really two defenders going for that same ball and now trying to explain to each other why it is the other should have been keeping clear.
The interesting thing as well, Brian, there wasn't a Scottish player attacking the ball. They were actually getting in each other's way. Once again, we talked about little signs of uncertainty between our central defenders, and that's very, very important they get that understanding quickly.
I mean, at half-time, I think England fans would have been saying, well, that's not too bad. I think most England fans watching now would start to have certain reservations.
Yes, well, I think what we've let them know, we've let them creep into a game. The Scottish haven't played particularly well to get back into a game. They've started to drive it a little bit with nothing to lose, and we've tended to get a little bit sloppy.
It should be Shilton's ball, and it is. Sansom. Back to Leighton. Stevens with the throw for England. Webb. Gary Stevens. Back to Shilton. Inside the last 5 minutes. England leading by a goal to 0. Robson. Nicol winning it in the air. Waddle trying to collect. Stopped by Nicol. In goes Robson. Burns now. Barnes getting in there. Robson coming back tigerishly to collect again for England. Adams. That's a nothing ball as it goes behind aimlessly. It'll be a goal kick for Scotland.
Our whole team play's just disintegrated, hasn't it? From a side that was comfortably in charge of the game, just moving the ball about in their own time, all of a sudden we're being forced to make mistakes that really aren't on from top-class players.
Scotland now beginning to push more and more men into fairly forward attacking positions, looking for this vital equalising goal with about 4 minutes remaining. McLeish. Webb. It's Adams. Stevens. Waddle. There's 3 minutes left now. Aitken playing it on, Gallagher trying to get back, Robson in there for England, Webb playing it forward, a little fortunate then to find Lineker, and Lineker's pass to Waddle, in fact was intercepted by Nicol, but there was a foul by Nicol on Waddle, a free kick to England. Scotland about 2.5 minutes away from their first defeat of the season.
I think Tony Adams is finding out that you can't give the ball away in international soccer. Okay, he's done it 2 or 3 times at crucial periods, and we haven't been punished. But I think the best in the world might do something different if we give it away too easily.
Waddle. Forced back again. Watson. Coming towards the last minute of the game now. Williams. Reaches Sansom. Corner. Well, it wasn't far off it, but it's a throw to Scotland, and all the enterprise seems to have gone out of England's play now, and they're just looking now to hold on for the last minute or so against a Scotland side that's got a bit more life about it now, and they've won a corner. And it was only the tigerish efforts there of skipper Brian Robson that prevented McStay getting a dangerous looking cross in. So Gallagher with the corner. Can Scotland now save it with 30 seconds of normal time remaining? Hit in low. Barnes for England. Nicol. Gallagher. Quick summing up, Ron Atkinson.
Yes, I think what it's proven is that we've got a very, very good strike force. Beardsley and Lineker look as good as anything else on the continent. Webb and Robson, good performances. And a number of others. I think Watson's established his claim. I think a number of others have learned that international football, you've got to be totally concentrated for 90 minutes. I think it's the first-class example, Brian. It's a game, really, we shouldn't have to be hanging on now. We should be dressing the game up 2 or 3 up. Now you get the feeling if there's a few minutes left, we'd get beat. Well, we wouldn't win it.
Beardsley. Sansom. Webb finding Robson. And now Watson. Another look at the French referee's watch. Now Waddle. There's Beardsley. He's got a free kick to Scotland. Foul by Beardsley on Goff. And there goes the full-time whistle, and it's a victory for England. An important psychological step, of course, towards West Germany and the European Championships, and England, Bobby Robson's men, really now need to consolidate with good performances and victories against Colombia and Switzerland in the coming week, and then take on the really stern battles ahead in West Germany. Peter Beardsley's goal after 10 minutes is what settled the issue. England falling apart, really, after dominating the game for so long, falling apart in the last quarter of an hour of the game. So Beardsley's goal is the winner. We're going to take the short break.